Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us here on KTN Newsdesk. My name is Betty Callow, and we have the latest coming in from across the country. We want to begin in Limuru, where 2 students of Steph Joy Boys High School are confirmed dead after a fire broke out in the school. 10 other students were seriously injured when the fire razed their dormitory in Limuru, Kiambu County. Well, our reporter Ian Wafula is at the school, and we now join him in location. Ian, thank you very much for joining us. Maybe you can bring us up to speed with what has been happening since the last time we spoke.
Sure. Thank you very much, Betty. Earlier on, just like I had said, we had Director of CID Ndego Muhoro coming here to this particular scene, and of course he confirmed to us that 11 students had been taken into by the police rather for questioning, of course, after this incident. The latest from this point is that one of the parents of one of the students who died from the fire has also just come in, and I don't know if you can be able to hear, but she is really wailing, of course, quite an emotional moment. She's just been told that her son passed on last night when the fire started at around 10 minutes to midnight. I just want to bring in the chairman of the Board of Governors, David Ngacha, to just paint us a picture for us as to what exactly happened. The fire started at around 11:50. How was this like? Where were you? And just give us an update on what happened.
It was not 11:50. It was around 10:50. It was a few minutes to 11. I received a call at I think it was around 5 minutes to 11 from the patron who stayed within the school. He sleeps in the dorms, and told me that there was a fire in the school. And said, and he also told me to make sure that we have an ambulance, because it's like some 2 boys were not able to come out. And so I called the relevant authorities to make sure that they were able to bring an ambulance on time. And the area AP senior brought an ambulance immediately. So by the time I drove back to school, the ambulance was there. We were able to put the eight students in the ambulance. They were taken to hospital. But the report I've just received is that almost all of them have been discharged, apart from the one who was transferred to Kenyatta. So the others, some of them came back after the discharge, and the others are at Tioni Hospital waiting for their parents to go and pick them up. And so when I came to school, immediately I found the school was calm. All the boys had assembled at the field, and then the injured ones were also in the field. So when the ambulance came, we put them in, and they were rushed to hospital. And so that is the far we had gone. That is the far we received that report. And the police have taken over the investigations, or all the relevant authorities have come to school, and they've taken over, they've taken control of everything, and that is the position. All the other students have been picked by their parents, so we don't have even a single student in school at the moment.
Well, I also know that investigations are ongoing. Most of the people who have been able to go into the scene are saying that they suspect a cocktail of fire was thrown in from, was thrown from outside. What do you think about this? Okay.
We also suspecting, because you see, when such an incident happens, nobody knows exactly what's happened. The only good thing is that we were able to get hold of 11 boys. Sorry, 11 boys who are taken by the police, and they've started interrogating them. So I'm sure by the end of the day we shall know we shall know the truth about it.
Ndego Muhoro, when he went into the scene, he mentioned that it's not up to standard, because if you look, he says the windows were a bit small and the doors are also small, and so some of the students might not have been able to rush out of the scene when the fire started.
Well, I don't want to disagree with him, but you see, if you look at the structures, you see, number one, the ministry rules are that, number one, the doors should open from out, from inside going out, and all our doors, all our dorm doors, our class doors, open from inside going out. Now, when you check on our windows, okay, none of them has agreed. The only thing is that the size of our windows is maybe what we did not put into consideration. Yeah.
And finally, there's also the issue of congestion. We've seen inside there that the students were sleeping in triple deckers. Is this right?
Our beds are triple deckers. But the issue of congestion is the dorms are not congested because the beds are triple deckers. Maybe when you look at them being triple deckers, then the chances are that you'll see that they are congested. But the chances, you see, our dorms are not that congested. Yeah, and that is the reason the dorm that got fire had, I think, about 36 students. You see, and how many injuries did we get from that room? Yeah, very few compared with the students who are not injured. Yeah, okay. But I would not like to disagree with them that, you know, the experts, because I'm not an expert in that area. Yeah, but that is the position. The other thing I would like to mention, all through, we've never had, you know, up to yesterday, we had not noted any indiscipline, let me say, any sign of a strike. We had not noted. Yeah, and so that is why it came as a surprise to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Betty. That is David Ngacha, the chairman of the Board of Governors from the school, of course, just giving us an update on what exactly happened. As of right now, of course, we'll just have to wait for police investigations to go on so that we can be able to know what exactly happened that led to the loss of these two people. Back to you, Betty.
Thank you very much, Ian, for that detailed update. Of course, he's going to have a comprehensive coverage in due course. Well, moving on, the government will consider amending the law to allow private security guards in universities to be armed. Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Ngaiseri says police posts will also be set up in major universities to enhance security in the face of terror threats. Well, he was speaking when he met vice-chancellors and other senior officials from universities in the country over security measures in the higher institutions of learning.
Ensuring that the location of all our universities and their constant colleges is secure, and with installation of CCTV cameras and good perimeter fencing. As you talk about having the security from the security agencies, you also need, eventually we are looking at private security. And we are looking at the law, whether we can allow them to have arms so that they can be able to supplement the security organ. Training and awareness in emergency and evacuation procedures. Carrying out emergency and fire drill on regular basis so that all students know what to do in an emergency situation. Training students in self-defense.
Now, even as public debate rages on over the latest Auditor General's report, the Public Accounts Committee is at this moment addressing the media over the revelations that over 67 billion shillings is unaccounted for. KTN's Aaron Riching is at Parliament Buildings and now joins us via phone for the details. Aaron, thank you very much for joining us. Well, I understand we don't have Aaron, but we have an excerpt of what was said earlier on. Let's take a look.
Saying that what the Auditor General has said is gospel truth. All we are saying is that he's discharged his mandate. There is a procedure to scrutinize what he has presented. Why don't we hold our horses instead of looking like gatekeepers for the executive? Because we are not. That is all we are saying. The adjustments will come. And remember, even if you read this statement, in our engagements with the Auditor General, we get very disturbing cases of accounting officers, departmental heads, simply refusing to cooperate. What is the Auditor General expected to do if he's looking for documents which somebody is not willing to give? I mean, the only way to do it is say, okay, this has been done. Even if you came to a building like this Parliament, the building has been done, all right. But I asked you for the bills of quantities, you don't give me. What is wrong in me saying, okay, the building has been done, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't see any supporting document, and therefore it is unaccounted for. This is all we are saying. What we are saying, ndugu yangu, is that let us engage within the framework provided by the Constitution.
Blanket condemnation of the Office of the Auditor General is not going to help us as a country. Not at a time when we are all geared towards fighting corruption. We know that corruption is at a very high level. We know that one of the only ways, the best and the most independent ways for us to verify and to know where this corruption is happening is the Office of the Auditor General. Let us not condemn that office, particularly our colleagues who have gone public to condemn the Auditor General. They are not right in so doing. That report is before the House now. That report is soon going to be before the committee, Parliamentary Accounts Committee, and we will scrutinize penny by penny. We know how difficult the taxpayer goes through to make sure that they make that resources available. Any misuse is unacceptable.
Well, still on that developing story, raging public debate continues over the revelation by the Auditor General that ministries and government departments have not accounted to over 67 billion shillings. Well, during our checkpoint segment last night, my colleague Yvonne Okwara-Matole engaged her panel on this. Here's an excerpt of that engaging discussion.
Some people are saying, but should we trust Parliament to do this? Parliament has not had a very good record over the last year or so, including the Public Accounts Committee itself.
It was changed.
And it was, yes, it was changed. But if you recall, some of the allegations were raised about corruption and who received money from whom to bury certain reports. And we know how that ended up. Nothing happened. All we did was change the office holders, and again, as we say, this Nicholas Gumbo was invited to come here. It's unfortunate that he was held up in Kisumu. Should we trust Parliament now? Because of course that's the natural progression. Auditor General takes it to Parliament, Parliament then starts to do that.
I think the spirit of Parliament is that it is in quote, the annual general meeting of the Kenyan population.
Okay.
So the report is like being tabled to AGM. And the members of Parliament are acting in trust. And within the spirit of Chapter 6, we hope that that trust will not be indirectly misused. And that's where the call or the appeal that no MP should discuss the actual report in terms of a political kind of system,
right,
to make things look better. Because that's not the intention of audit. Is a professional exercise.
Right.
A report has been submitted to you. You are our board. That board, in terms of the concept of Parliament, first goes to a committee. So remember, the report was tabled in the House.
Yes.
The House committed the report to Parliamentary Accounts Committee.
Right.
Parliamentary Accounts Committee should now start going through one by one. So the AG has no business, or even Rotich, to be honest with you, to answer any Kenyan.
At this point.
At this point.
Until
because it's not his role.
Until they go to
He's
Parliament.
supposed to give, if he has to answer, he's supposed to submit that report to the House Committee. Because technically we are discussing a House business activity as non-MPs, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So you who was audited, who happens to be a cabinet secretary, if you have to, at this stage, answer, you go to our AGM. Our AGM happens to be Parliamentary Accounts Committee.
Okay.
Parliamentary Accounts Committee is an open forum. So that committee, hopefully whatever you tell them, Kenyans can read from there.
Okay.
Now, the other point which is fundamental, and we need to get this correct.
Yes, and let's have Sakaja in to respond to that.
A very fundamental point. The moment an auditor tells you that I did not receive a report, it's irrelevant whether it is to do with the salaries. Because I may come to audit salaries, and the data is not in the employees' files. So when I'm auditing salary, I'm asking for the letter of employment. Maybe the staff were transferred, and the letters are yet to be filed.
Okay, all right.
Okay. No, what I wanted to just, my intervention was that officially and through the structures, the cabinet secretary will also come. In fact, not even just the cabinet secretary, the accounting officers in different, ministries and departments will be able to come to Parliament and raise, their side of the story and bring up those issues. But it is also a bit,
restrictive to say that the cabinet secretary cannot comment on it, because even before it has been discussed, it's in the public domain, and there is an outcry, because when you say 67 billion, there is a thinking, you know, that of course will be used, whether it is politically or not, that 67 billion Kenyan shillings have been looted, and there's a new scandal. In fact, the first question you asked was this a scandal that was
never was?
Or that never was?
Right.
It is a thin line between dealing with it just purely professionally, and also the implications.
So you think he was well within his right to comment on this that was already in the public domain?
Our constitution also talks about access to information. It talks about public participation, and it's important for him also to give his side. We should not restrict him.
But
officially he'll come to parliament.
Let's go and speed. Officially, what we are saying is he should have written that letter to parliament, to PAC.
No, not necessarily. He will be invited to PAC, and he will raise the matter, because the matter is now within PSC. I think PSC has actually already invited him. And that is the process. Actually, he is invited by Parliament. That is the process. He doesn't need to ask for an invitation.
Can I come in on the question of whether Parliament is the right place?
Yes.
We have no choice. It's a constitutionally driven. So it worries me that already Parliament has taken the view. The Auditor General is actually an officer for Parliament. So he shouldn't even be addressing himself to the Cabinet Secretary, with all due respect. So when you already see parliamentarians who've taken the view that this might be smearing our party or not, it worries me. But let me tell you, I think what I think. One, even if you take about the fact that yes, there are vouchers that might be available and they'll be corrected later, there are systematic things in those that you see. One of them is that no Kenyan should actually pretend, or rather should be saying we are surprised if you looked at last year's budgets as well. The kind of errors and misdemeanors that the Auditor General is reporting are actually systematic, in the sense that they're not new. Interest is a big problem.
Right.
Payments for goods and services that are not delivered is a big problem. Checks that are written and are not cashed, a big problem. Cash books that do not exist, and the inability to reconcile what is in the cash book and what is in, that is a very big problem. And we are talking here of not simple change. 20 million here and over time leading to, it's more than this 60.
What he called a disturbing system of accounting. Here was something else that
so to then make it look like, look, we have to give these guys a chance. There's a big problem in public finance management in Kenya. If Parliament looks aside from that, we are cheating ourselves.
Yvonne Okwara, last night during Checkpoint, of course it comes every Sunday on KTN Weekend Prime. Do join her this coming weekend. We now want to take a short commercial break to have some water. When we come back, we have a very interesting conversation with Michael Ayabe, who is the county manager, Nairobi and Kajiado. As you can see, he's all set from the Kenya Red Cross Society to talk about fire management. We saw earlier on in our bulletin when we were starting talking about that unfortunate incident that took place at Steph Joy in Limuru, Kiambu County, where 2 students lost their lives as a result of fire. Investigations are still ongoing, but a thing or two that he can tell us in regard to fire management and how we can keep ourselves safe at home and even in school. That coming up shortly. Let's take that break. We'll be back. Welcome back to KTN Newsdesk. Now, Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni is determined to sustain his reign as his campaign for the 2016 general election heats up. Over the weekend, Museveni took his campaigns to Mbarara town in western Uganda. We'll hear the details from our Ugandan TV partner, NBS.
Donning yellow t-shirt with the president's portrait, the supporters chanted songs in praise of Museveni, vowing to ensure his return to State House come election day. Tafire, as the chief walker, led the procession through Mbarara, bringing the town to a temporary standstill. The members of parliament used the opportunity to connect with the electorate through faith. The chief guest, Otafire, rebuked Amama Mbabazi for harboring intentions of contesting against President Museveni. He told the gathering that the party is overjoyed with the departure of Amama Mbabazi because he was the stumbling block to their victory in the forthcoming elections. Tafure said Mbabazi is both unreliable and incompetent to run the country and the party.
He failed to observe the very rules he himself set when he was Secretary General. So our request, our demand was he goes by the rules he himself set. If he can't go by the rules, then he does what he has done, quit the party.
He has left it intact. That the efforts he had made to interfere with the progress of the party has now come to an end.
We appreciate what President Museveni has done for the country. Towards the Ankole region, we have come here to show our support to him, that we are still with him, we shall vote for him.
This report was compiled by Ambrose Muhumuza, NBS Sunset.
Zimbabwe is looking for a second American over the illegal killing of a lion as the outcry over the death of famed animal Cecile continues. The National Parks and Wildlife Management Authority said a doctor from Pennsylvania killed a lion in April.
The National Parks Authority gave little information on the new case but said that the killing of the lion had taken place without a permit. It is said the hunt has been arranged by a Zimbabwean man who owned a safari company.
Walter James Palmer is the guy who came into the country around the beginning of this month of July and was enticed, we're not quite sure yet, to harvest this particular lion.
The authority is undertaking an industry-wide investigation to crack down and weed out any illegal hunting activities, but it is not clear if the latest case has emerged from that investigation.
Money which was exchanged to the tune of around $55,000.
A Zimbabwean landowner has since been arrested in connection with the second killing, which was reported days after another American killed Cecile the lion. The White House is reviewing public petition to extradite the American dentist who killed Cecile after more than 100 people signed it.
Let's move on to sports. And after registering wins against high-ranked Portugal and Spain in international test matches in Nairobi, National 15's team captain Brian Nikuli says they are hoping to continue their impressive form at home when they plan away to Namibia. The two sides lock horns on August 8th in Windhoek, where Kenya must beat the hosts to end the season on a higher rank as well as retain the African title.
We fly out on Thursday early in the morning, but we get together again on Wednesday. We have 2 days to just relax and be with family and friends. Mood at the camp is okay, at least no injuries. Everyone is geared up, looking up to the challenge. We know it's going to be a hard game because we're going to play away, but everyone is ready for it. If I can speak for the last 4 years we've been together, I think our away record was better than home because like 2013 we only had 2 games at home. We played Uganda home and away. Then we went and played Zimbabwe, we played Namibia away, we won them. We played Madagascar away. So for me, I believe the only time last year is when we had a problem. When we went away, we lost the last game. But I believe we've been able to correct whatever issues we had, the small mistakes that we had. So just tell the fans to keep on praying for us, and we're going to do what we love doing more.
And finally, Rio de Janeiro counts down 1 year to the Olympic Games, but concerns mount as to whether the city will be ready or even safe for the athletes. The Brazilian capital is up against the clock to finish preparations for the 2016 Olympic Games as a 1-year countdown begins amidst construction setbacks and the discovery of harmful viruses in the water at one of the main venues. The first of 3 phases of test events is already underway. The test event focuses on open-air events for athletes to acclimatize to conditions similar to those of the August Games, and is also an opportunity for officials to trial run the venues. Held in Little Macarana Stadium, the recent volleyball test event was hailed a success by whilst the Macaranian the stadium has been in action since 1954. Many of the new Olympic venues remain skeleton structures. Right, and that's where we wind up this edition of KTN Newsdesk. Thank you very much for watching. But remember that we continue to have a very interesting discussion with Michael Ayabe, who's the county manager in Nairobi and Kajiado for the Kenya Red Cross Society. We're talking about fire management. We've seen earlier on a very unfortunate incident taking place in Steph Joy Boys High School where 2 children lost their lives, and it's very important for us to have that conversation about how can you be safe in your home or in any environment where you find yourself in regards to fire. That is coming your way on KTN News, DSTV channel 274, Zuku channel 14 or GoTV channel 94. See you shortly.